I booted up. Is it like 6 hours? Oh, dude, it's like almost 11 hours. That makes way more sense. I'm like, I've been streaming all day. That D&D session was lit, though. We all died, and we, like, miracle again all fucking came back up from the dead. I'm gonna make a YouTube video. That was fucked. That was meant to be a team wipe so that we can do another campaign. And we all, like, somehow lived. Everyone dies. So close. Such a back and forth fight for 3 hours. Then we all fucking die barely. And then we're all dead and we roll death saves and one guy comes up, or both two of us come up with crit 20 death saves and we come back with 1 HP back to life. Oh yeah, we played D&D for like 3-4 hours and then now I'm back to this. I'm probably gonna make a video out of it because it was just one session of combat. On the previous 2 sessions, we fought this gigantic, like what do they call it, giga size or some shit, stone golem spider thing. And then after that, we got ambushed by fucking like animated necromancer skulls. And one of our fucking dudes who's been playing for 2 years in Dungeon of the Mad Mage gets double crit. And then there's like no other enemies around him at the time because they can't see the rest of our allies behind an opaque wall of fire. So they all attack him while he's down and he fucking instantly dies in that turn. So he just lost his character of 2 years last session. So then this session, there's a revenant that's been chasing us for 2 years. So he got to play as the revenant. So it was like PvP and he like really hated, like that player hated our party comp. So he's like, fuck it. He's like, you guys ever wonder what it'd be like with a fresh slate, new party, or maybe even a new campaign? And so he was dead ass trying to T-wipe us so we play a different campaign. And we fucking clutched it out. Like literally no one died after that. It was so stupid. I summoned 2 different demons, one of which went berserk on us and like killed me. It was just such a fucked up encounter. The whole thing. Yeah, we're not like the hardest core like role players. We just like playing for fun and cracking jokes. So yeah, I guess we're still playing Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Like, I mean, honestly, I was like, if we team wipe, I don't know if we're gonna continue this campaign because we've been playing for 2 years. We're only halfway down the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. But I mean, if we like live because of crit death saves, and then we like play dead, and the one guy snuck a health potion in the other guy's mouth, and then the demon fucking finally despawned and got sent back to hell. And like there was one like wizard left and we just jumped, all 3 of us jumped up and just fucking blasted his fucking ass to kingdom fuck with like firebolts and shit. And that's how we won. Then we had to do a short rest and then survive a bunch of fucking random encounters. Rolled good. We didn't get ambushed. As soon as I got the short rest, no one had any spell slots. I got my spell slots back to do arcane recovery and I did a tiny hut. We have so many stupid fucking D&D stories. Like we had one plan where we were getting one of our party members died and he was a ranger and then he came back as like a revenant or some shit. And he was like shooting us from across a fucking 300+ foot canyon from like another mountain. And there was literally no cover. So we barely got like a wall of force off. And then we fucking like tiny hutted to like hide from him. And then so we twin polymorphed 2 party members into birds. And then we snuck around out the other side of the wall of fire and flew over him. And then when we were above him, we polymorphed into 2 direwolves that fell out of the sky and dive bombed them and then jumped them. And one guy, as soon as he hit the ground, lost all his HP and immediately went back to not being a direwolf. And it was just fucked. Like we always have the stupidest plans like that. That's like where our fun of D&D comes from. Like we got fast travel in Barovian where we like levitated a dragon skull and then that can only have like a certain weight of things it can hold. So then we would levitate one person who would polymorph 2 people into sparrows and one person would polymorph himself into an ant who would go into the pocket of the person riding the dragon skull like a sleigh. And so we were just like Santa Claus riding a fucking dragon skull around through the sky, being pulled by sparrows. So you could upcast levitate to like, you know, last hours. Or the treasure whale. We fucking killed a dragon like randomly by critting it. Where this one campaign where our strategy was monkey mode, where we would just transform me and my horse into 2 giant, we would twin cast polymorph me and my horse into giant apes, and we would just go monkey mode on all these dragons and throw rocks at them and shit. And then after that campaign, our DM was like, your characters aren't allowed to know what giant apes are anymore. And then fucking, so we did that, and then we killed this dragon that we weren't supposed to, and we had this huge hoard of treasure, but we didn't have like a bag of holding or anything. So what we did was we saved this random townsperson, and so we polymorphed them into a whale because that is a creature. And so we We polymorphed them into a whale and then shoveled all the treasure into their mouth. And then we teleported out of there using teleportation circle and took the whale with us to the middle of Waterdeep. And then when we dropped polymorph, all the fucking gold was expunged, because obviously otherwise you could just like transform enemies into whales, stuff them full of shit, and then shrink them back and they would explode from the inside out, right? So there's this fucking treasure whale strat. Just the stupidest shit imaginable. The one time we got team wiped with like our most insane fucking like min-max party ever, and we got team wiped by a mummy lord because the DM explicitly was like, yeah, like if you disturb this crypt, you're gonna, something bad's gonna happen. And then our buddy just like said he vaulted over a coffin, and he didn't know that the definition of vault meant like you touch the thing to vault over. He thought just jump over it. So then it's a mummy lord came out and fucking wrecked our shit and like crit us and like paralyzed us and one shot a bunch of us. Like I died to disintegration. Like it one shot me like with a crit, and so I had no chance of saving. I turned to dust. And then at the end of the encounter, we got team wiped just barely. And the DM tells us that the mummy lord had fucking dead ass 1 HP left. And that was the end of that year-long campaign. Or the one time we accidentally genocided a village of Eskimo people who were enslaved by dragons because they were going to kind of rat us out, and we were going to like duel their like chieftain in honorable combat. Turns out he was way fucking stronger than any of us. And so we were losing. So we tried some sleight of hand shit, and then they caught us. So then our one guy like did his teleport move, didn't read the description, didn't realize that when he teleports, it leaves a giant shockwave in his wake, like an attack. Like Misty Step Out leaves a giant fucking like AoE explosion where he leaves from, and he was standing in the crowd, so he just instantly killed like 20 Eskimos. I don't remember what they were called. Basically Eskimo stand-ins. Actually, isn't the word Eskimo racist now? It's Inuit, right? Yeah. And then fucking the entire village is like out to get us. So then we're just like, either we fight or die. So we killed the fucking men of the village, and the women and children hid from us. But then we went and killed the dragon afterwards. So it was like, yeah, even Stevens, you know? And then we left. Same thing in Barovia when we liberated Vallaki. We staged a giant coup, like a fucking proletariat man uprising in Vallaki. But then the vampires invaded, and like we'd already wiped out like a lot of the mayor's guards and shit like that. So then eventually it just turned into a fucking like shithole ghost town where the werewolves would come at night to like kill stragglers and feed on them, and we definitely helped them. We liberated Vallaki, and then there was a monastery town where they had no worldly wants down the road, and so we helped them by sending all the refugees we could there from the town that we helped. And then we had to introduce economy to them to like make shit make sense. So we introduced the concept of like fiat currency to them so that we could buy shit, and then they became corrupted and greedy. So we really helped them. We helped them really well. Yeah, pretty base party, honestly. We're the good guys. Right now I'm playing a fucking stoner wizard named Ashron who just summons demons and like just does fireballs and epic shit like that. And he's a big stoner desert nomad who's possessed by an orb. And then I work as fucking, I work with my artificer gnome buddy Carl, who has a fucking, his like eldritch cannon is named Weezer, and he used to talk like Carl Weezer, but then he gave up on it because it was hurting his throat. And we run Papa Carl's Pizza Emporium, which is actually, it's a pizza place, but it's also a it's a black market. It's like a front, it's like a black market magic item store. Then like a gang like took us out of business and shit. That's our backstory. Dude. And like, okay, so that a session before where the guy died, our one guy died, right? And so what happened was, I can't even remember, there's like these immortal snakes or whatever on this one floor. They cast a charm on us, and all of us fucking failed the charm except for him. So we were all fucking charmed by these snakes, these immortal snakes, for like a day, right? The Sethian Scourge, they were called. So we were actually like doing their bidding and like clearing out like some enemies for them because we were fucking charmed. And then he fucking died that session. So like he was dying in our arms, and we were like, your death will be for the cause of the Sethian Scourge, brother. Your death will support the cause. He's like, fuck you guys. That was his dying words. And then so it was for the Sethian Scourge, so I resurrected him. Or I didn't resurrect him. I stole his corpse to like summon a demon. And I'm like, even in death, he can serve the Sethian Scourge. The glorious Sethian Scourge. Yeah, that was fucked.